Hey dads, it's Sunday and we're doing a little meal prep here. I don't know about you, but about the only way I can stay on track during the week is if I make a bunch of meals that are ready to heat and eat. And lately I've been getting a little bit tired of chicken. And if that sounds like you might be interested in how I do my shredded beef in the Instant Pot. That's what we're gonna do today. So basically what I'm going to be showing you today is just a method of cooking shredded beef more than a recipe. Once you get the method down, you can kind of add different flavors that you like and make it to your taste. When you're doing shredded beef, go to the grocery store and pick up just a big meat roast. This one happens to be a bottom round. You can get it. Sometimes there's a top round or a chuck or eye of round. Just grab the leanest looking, cheapest hunk of beef you can. I'm gonna use some beef stock, Worcester, soy sauce, a little red wine vinegar, and some garlic and an onion. All right, so we're gonna cut up this onion, and this is gonna go in the Instant Pot right after we take the beef out. So a couple tips when you're chopping up an onion. Sharp knife is a must. When you cut the bottom of that onion off, I guess, I don't know why, but a lot of the stuff that makes you cry comes out. So what I do is I'll cut it and leave the roots on. Go ahead and peel it. And then flatten the top off just to make it easier to cut. What I do is make a cut. You can do it like this. Make a cut halfway down. Go in. And then I'll go long ways. And then you got yourself a nice dice right after that. So we got the roots left on there. Not a single tear. All right, so we got our onions and garlic all chopped up in there. And with this, we want to season everything that goes into that Instant Pot. And what I like to use is just some good old salt and pep, salty and pepper. First thing we're gonna do with this hunk of meat here is cut this huge piece of fat off. That's not gonna render down very good. It's not gonna add a whole lot of flavor. It's just gonna make your cooking liquid kind of gross and gelatinous. Try and get as little meat as you can off with that fat, but it's kind of inevitable that you're gonna get some. Now I kind of like to just pull on that fat and cut it away. It starts to come off real nice. See that little bit of meat coming off there? Not to worry, kind of goes with the territory. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking for. No big hunks of fat on there. You can see it's pretty lean, not a whole lot of marbling in there. All right, now we're gonna cut this slab into some manageable pieces that'll fit inside that Instant Pot. And the idea is you want to have pieces small enough that that when you shred it up, the grains aren't super long and stringy and huge. Because if you cut it into big pieces, when you shred it up, you'll have strings of beef that big or something like that. So kind of cut it into chunks where you like how long the shreds are, and you can kind of tell where it's going to be shredding from the grain on that meat right there. So I usually like to do it like the size of the palm of my hand. So I'll come like this. Doesn't have to be pretty. It's all getting shredded.
Just like you have to eat this beef.
Yeah, it's about the size of it right there. Boom. You want to get them close to the same size. That way you don't have small chunks in that Instant Pot that are super overdone, along with big chunks that are just, barely done. Next thing we're going to do is season this beef, and this is where you can kind of get creative and do things how you like it. Just make sure there's enough salt in your seasoning mix, because what you want to happen is when the salt hits the meat, it's going to start drawing up the liquid in the meat. And once that liquid's sitting on top, that's how you get a good sear on it. And that's what's going to be coming next after we get this stuff all seasoned up. So whatever you use, just make sure there's some salt in it. That way it'll draw that moisture up. What I'm using today is some seasoned salt. I like Lowry's, Johnny's is good too. And then I'm just going to crack some pepper over the top of that. And these are big hunks of meat, so I'm going to be a bit liberal with the salt. And I'm going to get every side, because the more you sear these, the more flavor you're going to get in that sauce we're going to cook. I like it, coarse grind and pepper. All right, so we're gonna be searing the beef in the Instant Pot. You can do everything right in it. And what you're gonna wanna do is turn on the saute function and put some oil in. Whatever kind of oil you got's fine. Coconut oil works real nice because it's got a high smoke point, so you can get high temps on it without smoking. But whatever you got, it doesn't really matter. So go ahead and hit that button for me, Simon.
Yep.
There we go.
Even starts with the S like my name.
It sure does, buddy. And it only gives you 30 minutes, but you can turn it back on. And I usually like to wait until it says hot on the screen before I put that meat in. That way I'm gonna get a good sear. All right, so the Instant Pot is hot and we're ready to put that beef in. All right, we're gonna start taking these beef chunks and sticking them in the Instant Pot. You can probably get maybe 2 more of them in there. Go ahead, Simon.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna get this big.
I'm gonna put that big one in there. All right. We're gonna let these sear, and maybe every minute or so, flip them to another side.
Okay.
That way, every side gets a good sear on it. All right, so that's what we're looking at here. We're not too overcrowded. That's just about perfect. And these are about ready for a flip. There we go. That's what we're looking for. When you see the meat look like that, you're ready for a flip. Last batch of meat chunks coming out. Seared on all sides. So immediately after you get the meat out of there, go ahead and put your onions in and your garlic. Go ahead, Simon.
Dump it?
Yep, dump it on in there.
Okay.
Nice. Be sure and spill some on the ground. All right, we're good.
Okay.
So if you look in the bottom here and you see all the little brown bits, that is not a concern. That's a good thing. That's the flavor. So we're gonna cook these down until they're translucent, and they're actually gonna start soaking up some of that cooking oil, and the moisture from the onions is gonna start to lift those little brown bits. Now is time for our liquids, and I just kind of wing it when it comes to the liquids. I always do beef broth as a base, or I got some beef stock this time. So I'll put that in first to kind of deglaze that pot. About yay much.
You almost used all of it.
That ended up being about half the container there. Give it a nice stir. And what I'm doing with the wood spoon is just trying to get those chunks off the bottom here. Okay, I can feel some. Very cool. There we go. So all the brown bits are scraped off. You can tell because it's nice and smooth on the bottom now. And we're still on saute here because we want this liquid to be hot when we put the beef in there. All right, so that was our first ingredient, the beef stock.
And then we're gonna have another ingredient.
That's right. Next up is the Worcester.
You know what? Here is for the whole video, so.
And I tend to go a bit heavy on the Worcester because I like it. Quarter of a bottle in there. We're gonna do a little bit of soy sauce.
Soy sauce, I love soy sauce.
Me too, bud. About that much.
Oh, look at that. That's
Look
so
at that.
cool. Can
Yes,
I
it
dump
is.
it in?
Yeah. And so the last thing we're gonna put in there is some red wine vinegar. You can do like a cider vinegar if you want, or a white vinegar. Really, just about anything is good. It just gives a little tang.
If anybody likes it.
Go ahead and dump that all in there, my man.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Smells a lot like Worcester, believe it or not. Now we're just gonna put the beef in there. Go ahead, bud.
Is it supposed to do that?
Mhm.
Just lay under the water?
Yep.
All of it?
Mhm.
There's not enough room for everybody in here.
I'll show you. Now, we're ready to cook. So, put our lid on here. Maybe. And I'm gonna go, let's
push
see,
it?
we're gonna have to cancel the saute. We're gonna go pressure cook on high.
Can I
Make sure
push-
it's on high. And then we're gonna go, I'm gonna shoot for 15 minutes. That was 6 pounds worth of roast. We'll do it for 15 minutes here, and I'll check back in with you when it's done. That first 15 minutes was not nearly enough, so I had to do it for another 15. So we're at 30 total here on high pressure for that beef. I did a little test, and I can shred it up with a couple of forks. So we're gonna take it out of the pot here and put it in a bowl and get it shredded. Go ahead.
There should be no spoon.
While you're shredding your beef, go ahead and hit cancel here. And we're gonna put it back on saute and let this sauce come up to a simmer and let it boil down and thicken up a little bit. When you do that, the flavor intensifies and you have a little bit thicker of a sauce. So once you got your beef shredded how you like it, put it back into the sauce you've been cooking down, and as the beef cools, it's gonna soak up that juice, and then you can portion it out into your little containers, however much you need for the macros you want. Now, this beef on its own, it's 25 grams of protein for 4 ounces and 6 grams of fat. I don't like chunks of garlic in mine, so I'm gonna strain it out with the strainer as I'm putting it in the bowl here. You might also find a chunk of meat when you're in there. Put as much sauce back in there as you like. It's only gonna soak up so much. When you're measuring this stuff out, I'd use a slotted spoon so all the juice falls out. Then you can get an accurate measurement of your meat, and then you put the juice back in after that. In my prepared lunches here, I'm gonna put some of these veggies in there. That's just 3 different kind of bell peppers and some zucchini and summer squash. And half I'm gonna do with some baked sweet potato, and the other half I'll do with rice.